Hello everyone, we are outside of course today, a little bit something different as the house is busy, but we're going to be doing a series review of the Carolina Hurricanes versus the New York Islanders. So before we start, I wanted to say please make sure to subscribe to me if you're new to me, new to my channel, whatever the case may be, and hopefully there's not a lot of background noise to deal with as we do this video, but let's get into it. So Game 1, Carolina got on the board first with a first period goal by Sebastian Aho, and then they followed it up with another goal by Stefan Nason in the second period. Ryan Pauk would go on to score another goal not too long after this to make it 2-1, and then for the team that is the Islanders, they were not able to get the job done as ultimately it was the Hurricanes that only needed 2 of their 39 shots to go in. Past Ilya Sorokin. Sorokin had a really good game, and notably the Islanders were 0 for 4 on the man advantage, and the Hurricanes were 2 for 4. So in this game, the Hurricanes win 2-1 in a game that the Islanders feel like they possibly could have won. Game 2 in Carolina, if you are the Islanders, you're hoping to get a win here after Ilya Sorokin had a really good performance in Game 1, but the Hurricanes were the team that were able to take advantage of the first period here with a Paul Stastny goal, name you'll hear multiple times in this series. They managed to get another one this time by Sebastian Aho, the Islanders player, thanks to kind of an issue with the puck in his own end, and that really does stink, but we did see the Islanders call their way back into the game, tying it up before the end of the second. Brock Nelson would score the go-ahead goal in the third before Jacob Slavin tied it up yet again about 3 minutes later. Then in overtime, Jordan Staal, the man, the myth, the legend, had a beautiful pass to Jesper Fast, who buried the puck in the back of the net for the Hurricanes to take a 2-0 series lead. Notably in this game, Teuvo Teravainen, who is having a kind of down year, if you want to say, did get hurt. He did break his hand and was out for the remainder of the series. Not ideal, but if you are the Hurricanes, that does stink, but they have been able to play through injuries of guys like Pacioretty and Svechnikov, so it was just another thing where they had to keep things going. Game 3 in New York at UBS Arena, and Casey Cizikas was the man to open it up for the Islanders to give them a 1-0 lead in the second. And then Game 2, overtime hero Jesper Fast was able to tie it up for the Hurricanes in this affair. Going into the third, you're probably feeling too good if you're the Islanders, maybe not too good, but you're feeling good knowing that, what the Hurricanes have been able to do. Luckily for them, they ended up setting a record, if you're the Islanders, for most goals in a span of 2 minutes and 17 seconds. It was probably a little bit something different than that, but in the span of just under 2.5 minutes, the Islanders were able to go on and score 4 goals late to win the game critically 5-1. Again, if you are New York, this was not an easy win, but the final score does not replicate what the battle was. But also notably in this game, it was the first playoff win at UBS Arena for the Islanders. Great news for them, as of course last year it opened up and they failed to make the playoffs. Now it is a 2-1 series. Of course, Carolina still leads. Game 4 again in Long Island, and it was the Hurricanes that were able to build up a lead here. They got a power play goal on a 5-on-3 by Seth Jarvis. Then Martin Necas was able to get another power play goal for them as they were able to build up a 2-0 lead just a little into the second period, a minute into the second. Aho for the Hurricanes, that is, as we should probably distinguish the two in the series, gets the next of the game in the second to make it 3-0 for the away side, and Seth Jarvis proceeds to score the easiest breakaway goal later on, of course, as you see the Long Island fans kind of feel like their playoff hopes are sinking, winning the game. And they did get on the board twice before the final horn sounded, but ultimately the Caniacs were just a little too crazy to handle in this game as the Hurricanes were able to build up a nice easy lead off these power play goals with their star player in Sebastian Aho building the lead up to 3-0. And then while they did win 4-2, they took a critical 3-1 series lead, and they probably would have liked it to be even more comfortable, but in general this was a good win for Carolina. Game 5 is a do-or-die game for the Islanders, and they did take an early 1-0 lead thanks to Pierre Engvall, a former 7th-round pick, and then Brock Nelson scored a goal early in the second period to give the Islanders just a bit of breathing room. Paul Stastny, again, another guy that you're going to hear, like I said, in this series quite a bit, did cut the deficit in half for Carolina with about 10 minutes later before Matt Barzal scored this one to make it a 2-goal lead again for the Islanders. Sebastian Aho, that is, for the Hurricanes, was able to get what he could in the third with a goal of his own, but it just wasn't enough, and notably the Islanders were able to capitalize on some turnovers in this one, and a bit of puck luck went their way despite getting outshot 36-22. But again, when you have Ilya Sorokin in net, good things can and will happen. So for the Islanders, they fight and they stay alive in this one, as it is a game going back to New York. Game 6, which is again at UBS Arena, is a do or die game yet again for the Islanders. And for the Hurricanes, you see a change in net. They had Antti Raanta starting for them in net for this series, but Freddie Anderson, who is making his first start since mid-April, ends up coming in here as it feels like maybe, just maybe, the series is slipping away from the Hurricanes just a bit. Freddie did let one in 10 minutes into the first as Cal Clutterbuck scored a goal, sent the crowd into a frenzy with the early advantage. The Islanders then proceeded to outshoot the Hurricanes 17-11 in the second, but still failed to extend their lead. That is something that has to be really frustrating for them. Then I imagine partially due to frustration and just desperation for the Hurricanes, they proceeded to outshoot the Islanders 19-5 in the third and were able to tie it up with a Sebastian Aho goal of their own for the Hurricanes player Sebastian Aho. Paul Stastny, again, like I said, you heard his name a lot in the series, was able to be the overtime hero here. He took just kind of a nice shot that was by the goal line. It was not a shot that probably had a great likelihood of being successful. I can look it up online, and I will put that in the description for the percentage that it probably would have went in. But of course, he scores the goal here, and it is the end of the series. The Hurricanes win in 6. Ultimately, the Islanders did have a good run to get to the playoffs and show that they're still capable of making the postseason, but couldn't get it done offensively when it mattered most. And again, during really big stretches of this series, you saw Ilya Sorokin kind of hold this team in. They were getting outshot for big stretches of some of these games, and for them, they are kind of wondering what they can do to improve this team going forward and not have to rely so heavily on their goaltender to be able to keep them in games, especially against playoff sides. Now, for the Hurricanes, this was a take care of business series, and that's exactly what they did. Now they'll head on to the second round for the third time straight in 3 seasons, and for the fourth time in the past 5 seasons. They'll go on either to take on the Boston Bruins or Florida Panthers. I don't know what's going to happen there because now that's a 7-game series, but this was a good job by them, and you do wonder if they're going to be able to kind of rally through all the injuries that they have. But of course, they're able to get the job done here when it mattered most in the first round and are headed on to hopefully chase their second Stanley Cup in franchise history. What are your thoughts on this series? Leave your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, hopefully the background noise isn't too bad. Again, the house is busy, but anyway, everybody, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night, and you go off hockey all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.